All right, I'm cutting the intro short. Welcome to Seminole Sideline 365. This is our immediate post-game reaction. Fuller State loses 21 to 24 to Georgia Tech in Ireland. Game week 0, game 1. In what we thought would be a close game, but would absolutely predicted to be a win, especially in game 1 in what was scheduled to be a another title run, and everything that you would FSU media has told you all season: best defensive line, high octane offense, ACC title hopes. You should be questioning. Also, you should probably be questioning how much you're paying those media companies for their subscriptions all year, because they've told you probably a lot of lies at this point. Really disappointing game, and many factors that go into that. I'm just going to start. I don't want to talk about this for 45 minutes. I just don't feel like it. But we'll get what we think out there, and then obviously we can talk about it more next week. My biggest disappointments after this game, because there wasn't many high points, just to be honest with you, obviously in the loss. Biggest disappointments, I think, was obviously the defensive line. Patrick Payne was invisible. He looks when he's by himself now in the starting role on that left edge, zero impact. He looks undersized, can't get around the guy, doesn't show up in the fourth quarter, especially in the final drive. That was Jared Verse time last year. When he needed to show up, he showed up and would get a big pressure, would get a good stop. When big plays needed to happen, Jared Verse, Braden Fisk came alive. No one on that defensive line came alive today. No Patrick Payton, no Daryl Jackson. I think Farmer's name got called once on a sack or a big pressure, but that was about it. No one on this defensive line made any plays. There's Haynes, when he needed to pass, was able to pass. His pocket was clean. If not for a few more drops on the Georgia Tech side, he probably would have completed a lot more big plays in the pass game, but he didn't have to, because once again, Georgia Tech could run the ball at will. And that's, again, on the defensive line and also the linebackers. The linebackers can't run sideline to sideline, and that's what Georgia Tech wanted to do. They wanted to spread Florida State out defensively, and they used their speed to our advantage, because they knew DJ Lundy and Cam Riley and these linebackers can't run with them. They can't play in pass coverage, and they like to play downhill, and that's where they excel. Also, DJ Lundy and Cam Riley missed a lot of holes when they were running inside, and that allowed Georgia Tech to run inside on them. So defensive line, just take away this defensive line is not the top in the ACC. They may not be top 3 in the ACC. They didn't show anything today, and going forward, I'm going to expect this to be. You can't assume they're going to show up, because I think this obviously isn't the team from last year. We knew that, but from everything that the media was telling you, you would thought it was. You would thought they replaced that production, but you could see that it didn't happen, because when they needed to show up, they didn't show up in the fourth quarter. And then the linebackers, we knew that could be a liability, probably was going to be a liability, and now it is a liability. Norvell didn't go out there and get the guys he needed to get, and DJ Lundy is not the answer as a starter in linebacker. Cam Riley is not a starter, a linebacker. These are backups, and they should be backups. They cannot stand up against athletic backfield players in the passing game. They just can't. But this isn't an ACC type ACC championship type defense from what I saw today in the linebacker defensive line position, and that put pressure on the defensive backs to do their job. The defensive backs did fine today, but they weren't tested downfield a lot, and there were some openings there. But defensive linebackers were terrible. And then one more disappointing spot. I didn't think DJ played all that well. I don't know if that's playbook structure. I didn't know that was scheme. Once again, the first half, I think he only attempted one pass plus 6 yards. He wasn't testing deep. I don't know if he was looking deep. He missed some guys underneath that he should have. The one gleaming positive on him was in that fourth quarter. He led that drive down the field, some big fourth quarter conversions where he did look clutch, and that experience came through, and he was able to make some big throws. But where was that earlier on? Where was that vision earlier on? Where was that passing downfield ability? I don't know if that was play calling, so maybe that is not on him. But he had some bad overthrows. He had some a couple of bad decision-making things there. And just, once again, this is a drop-off from Jordan Travis. And we should have expected that. I think some of us did. But you wouldn't have expected that from what these paid membership sites were telling you. This FSU team is a major drop off last year, and what we got today was a team that has skill on offense. They have a lot of speed. Their defense outplayed our defense today when they shouldn't have talent wise. But sometimes effort, strategy, coaching, outright.
KB, check your mic.
Okay. It is what it is. Okay. I hope you can hear me. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but we got outcoached. Georgia Tech defensive coordinator outcoached Adam Fuller. Outcoached Mike Norvell offensively, and strategy and effort equals the That's it.
Yeah, let me
and shout out to Ryan Fitzgerald because he kept this team.
You're better now, whatever you're talking about.
Ryan Fitzgerald kept this team alive because he put 6 points on the board from 50 points. He was the only highlight of this game today.
Well, before we get more into the stats of this game, which I want you to be able to bring up so we can really look at some of that, I appreciate your frustration and your summary. I don't know what happened to our little, one guy said whoever's talking's right on. He was talking about UKB. I don't know what happened to our little titles under our names, but that's KB. He's the young guy, and I'm the best-looking old guy. I'm the old man. So you got KB and the old man here on Seminole Sideline 365. Oh shit! I got so much shit to say. It's not well organized. First of all, let me just say I am very disappointed. I am very disappointed in what I've seen, and I will agree with KB that you fans out there have to understand something, because when we do our shows, whether it's summer or into the fall or our previews, we get fans coming in. Oh, you guys are so negative. You guys, you don't say positive things with hugs and kisses. Well, this is why we talk in reality about the things we talk about. When we say, or when I say, I'm not sure about this offensive line. We're not sure about this defensive line. They've got all this potential, but there's been no real production. We're not sure about certain aspects of this team. And then we get hit by viewers saying that you guys are just negative. Well, you know what? When we talk reality, it's not negativity. Don't mix the two up. You can go back, pay your subscriber fees, get all these hugs and kisses from these other leading social media guys on Florida State, and they're going to feed you what they think you want, okay, which is hugs and kisses, and everything's going to be fine. Well, this team is in distress right now. And Coach Mike Norvell is going to go into Coaching 101 about adversity. Let me tell you right now, that's what he's going to talk about. He's going to talk about adversity and how this team's going to have to respond to adversity. That's all Coaching 101 shit. His team, this Florida State team, got beat up today. Yeah. They were out-coached in every aspect of the game today. Their coaching staff got out and strategized. Their players did not play physically. Georgia Tech was more physical. Georgia Tech ran the ball at will. They threw the ball, and I've got a horrible amount of notes here. In big plays they had to make, they converted on those big plays. Yep. Long third down plays, because our vaulted defensive line with our talented defensive ends did not show up. Okay, now, whether they might not be able to show up, maybe they don't have the potential that everybody said they were. And they do look undersized. I believe they can't play the run. Okay, they're going to run people right at those defensive ends.
They could barely play the pass.
There was very little pressure in Haynes King, and he was very successful. He was the better quarterback on the field today. But this didn't come down to DJU losing the football game. No. The defense lost this football game when the offense was very average. And this offensive line, very disappointing. KB, you've heard me say that. I was still having concerns. A senior dominated line on the offense.
Well,
poorly done by those guys, because DJU was not comfortable in that pocket. we didn't throw many passes mid to long distance down the field. I mean, we can start looking at the numbers here and it'll point out. But here's one thing that really got me. Florida State had the ball 4 times in the first half. That's it. 4 times in the first half. In the second half, we had the ball 3 times.
And the reason for that is
7 times we had the ball in the whole freaking game.
And there's a reason for that. Is that this is no longer, from what it looked like today.
Oh my Lord.
This is not an explosive offense. This offense is run oriented, but it does not have the explosion it had last year. And once again, that's you lose Jordan Travis, you lose Keon Coleman, you lose Johnny Wilson. Those were big factors. And this was the last 2 years, a very explosive led offense. You wanted big plays. You were looking for big plays. You're looking to score fast. And this is a Florida State team we have not seen play like this in a while. And when you have 8-minute long drives, and you only come away with a field goal, that's not good because that eats up, like you said, a lot of clock. If you only have 4 drives in the entire first half or 6 drives the entire first half, you don't come away with 14 points. That opens yourself up to an upset, especially if the other team is rolling. Or competing with you and tied with you. You can't come away with just 3 points in 8 minutes or 3 points in 9 minutes. And that is not sustainable. And this team, and that's the concerning part for me, is that DJ was able to move the ball here and there, but 3 and outs and small drives and the punt, this team looks so non-explosive today. There was not many big plays. And once again, you only run for 93 yards, I believe it was today. In the first drive, you look great. Things were rolling. This is like, oh God, this is what we expected. This running game is rolling. The offensive line's pushing guys. Roydell Williams is looking great. You score fast, and then it went away. It didn't work anymore. And that's a credit to Georgia Tech adjusting things. I don't know if that's not a credit to Mike Norvell not adjusting the game plan and to open the ball up more, because at the last drive of the game, you did see completions of passes. You saw some big plays to move the ball down the floor, but you still took up 9 minutes, which left Georgia Tech the ability to drain the clock and score because your defense couldn't get a damn stop. Compared to last year, you put up 45 points on LSU and almost 500 yards of total offense. This is not the offense of last year. This team is not going to put up 500 yards of offense. They're not going to put up 400 yards of offense every year, or every month, or every game. I'm sorry. This is an offense that, once again, the defense allowed 24 points, which on paper isn't terrible, but they couldn't get stops when they needed to. They could not get the stops.
No, they couldn't stop Georgia Tech. I mean, I don't know what is the number on time of possession in this game. Georgia Tech had to have won that.
I think the time of possession was pretty close.
Oh my God!
But the difference is Georgia Tech came away with more points at the end of the game. They came away with the last possession, and that's the thing that matters, right? 24 points.
I'm sick. I tell you what, it's just, and this is a conference game. See, this isn't, this is a huge impact loss. Number one. It really brings into huge questions because the soft social media for Florida State that has access to the coaches and has access to the practices don't tell the truth. They don't feed out the information they should. They pillow talk it out. And they're going to do the same thing after this game. Oh, now all of a sudden, they'll start talking a little bit more, but let's not lose. We can say that. Maybe if you think we're too negative, then go over to the other side. That's up to you. We're longtime fans. We're going to continue to be longtime fans. But we're analyzing what we see. And this team did not show up. They were not well prepared for this. And so I don't know what the hell was going on in camp because Georgia Tech whipped our ass today. Hats out to Georgia Tech. They whipped our ass. We're not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. Because they did whip our ass today.
I don't know if it's a lack of preparation because you look at a couple of things that stand out. Florida State was averaging
lack of talent.
5 yards. Florida State was averaging 5 yards per play, which is really good. But once again, you gotta finish drives. You have to score on. If you're averaging 5 yards per play, you gotta finish drives. There's too many times you ran the ball and you only got 2 yards and you got third and long and stuff like that. You got into too many third and longs. You almost put up 300 yards of offense. You got to do better there. You were 5 of 12 on third down, which is not too bad. But you put yourselves in some tough situations. Other positives, you were low on penalties. You only had 2 penalties. Georgia Tech was penalized 0 times in this game, except.
Well,
for face
I
mask. They
thought
had the
we
face
did.
mask
I thought we
penalty.
did okay on penalties. I thought that was one of the better things we did, even though there was a big hold. There were 2 holding calls on us in the same play. That hurt us a little bit, I think, on one play. I'd have to look at my my notes. But overall, I thought penalty. I thought we didn't look sloppy. We just didn't execute. Okay,
Yeah.
we couldn't. Their defense was much tougher. This was a much tougher, or it says something about our offensive
think it's the
line.
opposite.
So
I think it's no. I don't think it's just the offensive line. I think it's the entire offense. I think you're not going to win many games scoring 21 points in college football anymore. You can't. You're not going to win many games scoring 21 points. In fact, if you look at last season, Florida State didn't have a single game where they scored under, except for the Louisville game. Every game they played last year, they scored more than 21 points.
but who do we blame that on?
Mike Norvell. Oh, yeah, well, the blame will be Alex Atkins wasn't on the sideline.
Oh,
so
screw that!
I guarantee
that's
what you'll
ridiculous.
hear. I guarantee that's what you're hearing.
That's ridiculous.
But I think it's like I said, you don't have Jordan Travis. He was one of the most dynamic pieces in your top probably 5 quarterbacks of all time at Florida State. And DJU
I don't think that was it.
DJU is not DJU is not the caliber quarterback that Jordan Travis was. He's not. You saw it.
That's okay, but he's
No, it's not
adequate
okay.
enough.
No.
He should be adequate enough to move this offense. I fall back on the offensive line again. I am not impressed with what I saw them doing today. How many total yards rushing did we have on the day?
You had 95, I believe.
95 yards against what I would call an average
98, yeah.
98 yards rushing the ball with multiple backs. We used probably 4 or 5 backs running the football. Maybe that's a problem. There's no continuity, of moving guys in and out. 95 yards against a Georgia Tech team that's supposed to be between 5 and 7 wins on the season. That's the prediction. And who had a terrible defense last year. And they hold us to 95 yards rushing, and we're supposed to be number 10 in the country and win the ACC? Boy, I say it's the offensive line. This is not, and I've said this for 3 seasons, this is not a domineering offensive line, and I don't think DJ was comfortable just going back in the pocket. He was rolling out. You start to roll your quarterback out when you can't hold the protection.
Not always, not necessarily.
No, not always, but most of the time. Most of the time.
But I agree with you. Florida State averaging 3.2 yards per carry
is not bullshit.
Is not, especially against a Georgia Tech defensive line that wasn't dominating last year, and I don't think will be dominating this entire year. But they played a great game, and so, like you said, it's on the offensive line. But it was also Florida State wasn't able to, especially in the first half and up to the fourth quarter, wasn't able to establish a balanced offensive attack. They weren't able to get Georgia Tech to respect their pass. And so they were stacking the box. And even sometimes rushing 3, they were able to cause some chaos. But even stacking the box, we weren't able to pass on them effectively up until the fourth quarter. And I think that was the concerning part to me, is that why weren't we able to? Was it play calling? Was it DJ not seeing things? And they showed some plays where DJ had a wide open Jaylen Brown and didn't hit him. He forced the ball down the field.
He missed a couple of throws.
And so that's where we're not seeing the angles. But was it DJU missing them? Was it, because I believe Mike Norvell is calling the right play calls and putting positions in the right position. But is it not seeing things as receivers not getting open? But when you saw some of those replays, guys were getting open. And, so I got to put a little bit on the quarterback for that. But Georgia Tech they didn't respect the pass for much of that game, and so they were stacking the box. And every time you tried to run it, a linebacker was wrapping up, one of these running backs. And so this offense is going to have to establish a balance, a better balance than we thought we had. Because if teams don't respect DJ to pump it down the field and just throw it 4 yards, 3 yards, 5 yards, it's not going to work. Florida State did not have any big plays down the field except for that last drive of the game, and that's not going to do it. You have to be able to hit these speedy receivers down the field, or you're going to lose. You're going to lose 3 or 4 games this season, because you play some high octane offenses. You got a good quarterback in Boston College and Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien, their new coach. You got SMU. You got there was not many, there's a lot of things you got to clean up. Some of these things I don't know if you can clean up in the season. But I think one thing is balancing out the offense, because I do think the receivers for the most part did make the catches that they could make. I think Malik McClain showed some good things with his hands.
Kentron had one catch.
Let's
look at the receiver.
Ja'Kai had some good catches. He dropped one, but he had some good catches. So Ja'Kai was 4 of 6 for 55 yards. Malik was 4 of 6 for 39. Roydell out of the backfield was 3 for 3 for 31 yards. Roydell and Benson look like we thought they would be.
Yeah.
But you got to get these guys. We got to get big plays out of these guys. Look, the longest play was 21 yards out of Toafili.
Oh, I said he wasn't throwing anything mid to long range until a little bit into the second half, and there weren't that many.
And that's a concern because long field passing, downfield passing has never been DJU's. That's not what he's known for. And is that going to limit the explosiveness of this offense?
Wow. Well, you know what it does? This game now is going to be broken down a lot by the defensive coaches that we're going to face the rest of the way. And they're going to say, we're not going to fear his long passing. They may not even fear his mid-field passing. And they're going to, as Georgia Tech did, they brought extra help on the edges when they needed to strategically, and it disrupted him.
But that last drive showed me what the offense could look like. The slant with Malik.
Well, the first drive and the last drive showed that it was. But like you said earlier, KB, you can't run 15 plays and take 8.5 minutes off the clock and end up with a field goal sometime. Now, both of those times we got touchdowns, but I am shocked. You find me a game in the past, a fan out there, find me a game in the past where we only had 7 possessions of the football in the entire game.
Yeah.
7.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I thought the rules had shortened the games for some reason. I know there was a hell of a lot more commercials.
Yeah.
But my God, this is a horrible beginning for Florida State, and there's nobody who can understate that. Now, I'm going to be very curious to watch later on what Mike Norvell, I don't know if he's up. Maybe you could pull it up. Maybe you can't. You probably can't.
No.
If Mike Norvell's press conference and listen to the questions. Now, he's going to have some national press in there, so that's a good thing. He can't. National press tend to ask harder questions than the other guys from Tallahassee, okay? Those guys will ask the same things. Well, what do you think we're going to have to do to regroup? It's all the softball bullshit that they throw out there because they're afraid to lose their access from the FSU media guy, okay? They soft show everything, and that's what they do. However, Coach Norvell is a corporate guy. He knows how to answer these questions. And he's going to talk a lot about adversity and how will a team respond from adversity. But the problem is, this was a game that must have been won. Florida State had to win this game. This is, I don't want to say a walkover game for them, but they should have won this game. It was a 10.5 point margin. I thought they'd win by 15.
Well,
I really
did. You must
But-
win the game if you believe you're back to being an
God.
elite program, and you're not. Let's just face it. Florida State is not back to being an elite program because you win games like this. You don't lose to Georgia Tech. I'm just sorry. I'm sorry. If you think you're
can't.
back to being an elite program again, you don't lose to Georgia Tech.
No.
It's as simple as that.
And now, this loss, like this, even if they put themselves in unless they win out, if they don't win the ACC championship, their chances of going to the playoffs now have been deeply damaged.
Unless Georgia Tech goes on that run and they become
Deeply damaged, and they'll end up in some bowl game, which I call the opt-out bowl season, and where nobody shows up and just the guys and the cities make some money and whatever, and it's a terrible beginning. It's a terrible beginning. What other key things? I think we talked about in 2 or 3 shows. We have the receipts. Go back and look. We were concerned about the linebackering play. It showed up today. except for a few flashes here or there. The linebackers didn't have an impact.
They
didn't
can't
have
cover
an
and
impact.
pass. They can't run sideline to sideline. I mean, these are all things that we thought they would be. Yeah, I thought they would play, but they can't. They can't play at an elite level. They can't. And
They were pushed around. They were pushed around in this game.
They played. Georgia Tech played like I thought we would play, sideline to sideline, and Georgia they exposed our linebackers and cause
Right.
they can't cover. They couldn't cover the skill position players of Georgia Tech in the open field. And
Well, DJ Lundy tries hard, good guy, but he's undersized. Blake Nicholson is undersized. Okay, doesn't have the experience. Otto Graham is Omar Graham is inexperienced. Riley inexperienced, big guy.
Cam Riley's not inexperienced. He's just not a starter. He's not starting caliber.
He is going to be a starter this year.
DJ Lundy and Cam Riley are pass rushing downhill runners. They're not going to be covering guys in space, but they're starters, and they're going to be asked to do that, and that's how teams are going to exploit us, and that's how Georgia Tech exploited it. It's just what it is. And multiple times they put themselves in the wrong hole, and Haynes would just jump out and beat them. It's
I don't think we got a true sense of what the secondary is because the up front people weren't putting any pressure out, and the defensive backs as secondary. I can't. Besides Fitz, our kicker, there weren't really many positives of.
No, there wasn't. Fitz had a great game. He hit his career. 59-yarder, 52-yarder. He did his job today. The only other positive light, if you want to say things, is that there wasn't many drop balls, I guess. And it was clean football. You didn't have any fumbles. You didn't have any interceptions.
We didn't have any. Yeah, we didn't have any turnovers.
Low penalty game for you.
Right.
Except for some holds. But those are all very low. Those don't really come to shine when you lose the game and you only put up 21 points. This team is going to have to put up 28 plus points per game if they want to stay in it, because I think this defense is going to struggle based on what I saw today and based on the offenses they're going to have to stop. It's just, and I don't see things changing. I don't see, this isn't like they were schemed, they were out coached, but I don't think that it's just because they faced a great offense. You're going to face multiple great offenses with a lot of skilled players. But I don't think Patrick Payton can take that role. Honestly, I think he kind of got exposed today. And that's not to say Payton's not a good player, but I think he looked better when Jared Verse was the starter. He looked better when Jared Verse was starter, and he could just rotate in the third down position, in the pass rush, a role. But now when he's out there, he was a non-factor today.
Marvin Jones Jr. didn't. He didn't flash much. There was no sacks. Were there any sacks?
No, there was one.
No
sack on
sacks from anybody.
DJ was sacked once, but none on the Florida State side. And now you could say, well, it wasn't like Haynes King was dropping back a whole lot, but he did drop back a couple of times, and once again, he had clean pockets. So, and he was able to deliver the football. So, he dropped back at least 14 times in this game, 16 times. He was 11-16 for 146.
He managed the game. He
did. And many of those times, if you go back and watch the tape, he had very clean pockets. It wasn't the one time I thought Farmer should have gotten a tackle for loss at one point or a sack. There was one time Farmer broke through, but that was the only time. And once again, I'm going to say it again. Fourth quarters last year was when Fisk and Verse and this defensive line used to come alive
studs
and make a stop. This is not that defense. And so this team is going to be in a lot of dogfights. Come the fourth quarter, it's going to be hard to watch, guys. It's going to be hard to watch because you're going to be in a lot of tough fights, and there's going to be no blowouts this season. I can guarantee you that based on what I saw today. So get prepared. That's not to say don't watch, not be a fan, but you just had to recalibrate your expectations. That's not to say we're out of the ACC race. You got to play every game like you are, and you gotta get better every week. But this team's going to have its battles, and this team is not a top 10 team. You saw today. I don't think anyone who watched this game today thinks we should be a top 10 team.
Even if you won
that game, the reverse 24-21, I don't think we should be a top 10 team.
You know what? It's embarrassing, KB, for a few reasons. One, all the hype, all summer, led by FSU social media, about ESPN and Kirk and all of this shit leading right up to kickoff and right up through the game day thing, that, all the frustration. That shit's over with, okay? That shit's over with. Forget it. That season's over. You're right. That season's over. Jordan is gone. This is a new season. We can remember that in history and legacy down the road. But we fanned these flames, and that's been done by the biggest social media, Florida State social media in Tallahassee. They fanned all these flames, and they fed this shit to all our fans. And they're responsible for some of this, all the hype that goes into this. And now they're going to have to spin this somewhat. They're going to have to spin this and put a different storyline on here. But to me, Florida State had a chance at the end of this game to take control. And let me see the plays. We go back to that final drive. The final drive, and the fumble took place. Remember, there was 1:02 left on the clock. Georgia Tech fumbled the ball. There was an 11-yard loss, right? And then they come right back on the next play, hit a pass that goes down to the 29 with 30 seconds left. They run the clock down. They kick the field goal. I mean, we had some shots there. We had a chance at another fumble on their third possession of the second half. When we missed that fumble, they came back, hit a 3rd and 12, and got a first down, and then a big quarterback run, which continued down for a touchdown.
Once again, these are things that great
teams don't do. These are big plays.
They were self-inflicting wounds on themselves. You didn't get the turnover luck, but once again, these are 3rd and 12s, 3rd and 15s. And then once again, like you said, the first fumble that went back, they get a 3rd and 12. Haynes King just throws it down the middle, and the DB can't stay with them. No pressure on the pocket. So once again, combination of two things: no pressure on the quarterback and clear passing situations. Defensive line doesn't collapse, doesn't cause chaos, and he hits a big 3rd down conversion. He doesn't hit that. Florida State gets great field position, and you potentially are going, going back up.
Right.
And so these are the key plays in the game where these are the things you compare to last year. Last year's teams probably gets off the field there, causes a big chaos moment, and you get the momentum back, and you're going back up. This year's team, this may be the preview of what's going to be this year. It's going to be a back and forth. It's going to be a 50-50. Do we get it? Do we not get it? You're going to be in a lot of dogfights. And last year we were in some dogfights as well, but we came out on top on every one of them. This year, you're maybe not going to come out on top because you don't have those closers you did last year. You don't have Fisk. You don't have Burst. You don't have Kalen DeLoach. You don't have Tatum Bethune on the defense. On the same side, you don't have Johnny Wilson. You don't have Keon Coleman. You don't have Trey. You don't have Jordan Travis. Those were closers. Who's going to be the closers on this team? Who's going to step up and say, take over the game? Because no one took over the game today.
Well, I think the guys that stand out in my head for positive moments. I thought early in the game. I think Rodell Williams. I'm just saying. I think he can play. But if the offensive line doesn't create better holes or something, he's not going to be able to flash. I thought he played pretty well. Jalen Lucas. I thought he had a couple of flash plays, but there was no consistency on offense or defense. There was no level of rhythm or consistency of what was going on. And you can see that in the stats.
Well, look at the drive.
You can see that in the drive-by-drive. There was no guy who really stood up. Kentron, who's been in this program forever, had what, one catch?
Yeah,
one. Williamson did he even play? No. He had no catches. Our tight end.
One catch.
One catch, which was a good catch. One catch. I don't get that shit. I don't get that. I don't think he came here to just block every play. I mean, and if you can't get him open and get him some passes in the middle of the field against Georgia Tech, who the hell are you going to get catches against?
I don't know. And this, and like you said,
I mean, I want to think something different here, but I don't know.
No, you lost in all aspects. You lost, big plays. You couldn't control you got out controlled on the clock. Look at it. You had one drive in the second half, or in the second quarter, I believe. Like, you didn't have opportunities to score, and when you did, you didn't cash in on too many of them. So once again, my question is, who are going to be the closers on this team? That's what I want to see.
Who are going to be the what?
The closers. Who are going to be the closers on this team? Because nobody stepped up today, closed the game. Nobody. And you see in the drive chart. You see it on the no one stepped up.
Okay,
nobody stepped up.
Let me say it. I'll be the guy. First of all, I am so tired. I'm not a big Joe Tessitore. What's that guy?
Tessitore.
Jesus Christ. He tries to hype everything. Talk about hype. Oh my God. Please. But they constantly say their same talking points throughout a game. Well, Alex Atkins, one of the leading candidates for a head coaching position. I'm not sold on Alex Atkins. I don't think he's really put together guys on an offensive line that you need. Now listen to me. That you need to win in these mega leagues now to get to those playoffs. This line hasn't showed me. This is a senior dominated line with 2 transfers that have come in, and they got beat up today. They got beat up by I don't know how good Georgia Tech is, but they look pretty damn good today. They got beat up by those guys up front. Salute to Georgia Tech. Okay, that's the truth. That's reality. That's number one. So I'm not totally sold on it. He's out for the next 3 games. He's the offensive coordinator, whatever the hell that means on this team. He doesn't call the plays, so I don't know what that means. Now, here's another thing I didn't understand. On the broadcast today on ESPN, they said that the guy who stepped in for him is an offensive analyst. They don't have an assistant offensive line coach to Atkins? They called this guy an analyst, was running the offensive line today. What the shit is that? That doesn't even make any sense to me.
But it doesn't matter. It has no impact on the game.
And here's the other thing that you and I think, might agree on this over the last couple of seasons. Now, last season was, an outlier. Is Adam
an outlier? It was a great season.
No, is Adam Fuller, who had a lot of weapons, is he as good without those weapons?
Well, is he able to develop those weapons again? Like, to be a great coach, you have to have consistency. And we've gone back and forth on Adam Fuller. It felt like 2 years ago people wanted him out, and now they love him again, and now they're probably going to hate him again.
It's a love-hate relationship.
But to be fair, once again, he only gave up 24 points against a really good offense. So last year, you probably win this game with the offense you had. You probably win this game 35-24, I would assume. But this year, you lose it because your offense is not in sync. Your offense is not working, and it's not explosive. But this year, you lose it with 24 points. So this may be exposing more of Adam Fuller, but you may say, well, 24 points is 24 points. Now, you gave up a good amount of yards, so to be fair, you're right. Like, you didn't do good enough because you almost gave up 190 yards rushing. It's not good enough, right? Like you said. So, yeah, I mean, I think the conversation is going to be happening around Adam Fuller again if this becomes a consistent issue. You're going to have Boston College. They like to run the ball. They have a great quarterback. If the same thing happens again, you're going to have big questions. And the thing we talked about with Mike Norvell is he able to make the tough decisions when it comes to coaching? Is he too soft on his coaches? Will he make big replacements if needed to get this program to the next level? We'll find out. But I mean, we were out-coached, like you said. We were out-coached, out-strategized. Because if you look at stars on paper, which high school stars and transfer stars, if we just had it on paper, Florida State wins this game easily. But it wasn't that, and that's what people love college football for, right? Because better coaching, better strategy, and big plays is what wins you games. And Georgia Tech executed today. We didn't. And you hope going into Boston College in 2 weeks that Florida State can get their shit together. But I'm not sold on that because I didn't see enough today, except for that last drive and that first drive on offense, to say we can get the click back in. But it gave me some hope. I
tell you, here's
defense is the biggest concern for me.
Yeah, here's a good comment. EMG says, where were the slants? A slant pattern is generally in football one of the hardest patterns for defense to defend against if it's done properly.
Well, you saw it.
I don't see many slants. I saw the one cut across the middle, and then DJ didn't see the guy. That was Deuce Spann coming across. And he was open. If he just led him with the ball, it would have been a huge gain.
But the last drive, you saw it.
I'm talking about the slant where the guy takes one step to the outside, then he cuts immediately across the middle behind the linebackers, and it's just over the top of their heads. We don't run any things like that. We don't run the tight end down the seam. You know what I mean? We didn't take Georgia Tech's defense out of what they wanted to do. We run these sideline patterns. I understand that, but they're risky. I mean, they're risky.
Well, because you're betting on the athleticism of your athletes. You're betting that you can beat them with your speed, and that you have better blockers on the edges. Like your receivers can block better. And I think it's maybe some of it that you believe that your offensive line is not as strong pass blocking that they are run blocking, and so you're going to lean more on the run blocking versus holding it. Can they hold up a pocket consistently but screen pass should be quick, right? You saw that a little bit of that screen play on the last drive on that fourth down conversion with Malik Benson, which was a great pass and it was a great catch. Malik Benson broke that guy right at the line and had he was immediately open, and he got delivered the ball by DJ. So you hope to see more of that, but once again, you have to open up the middle of the field. To your point, you have to make them respect that you're going to target the middle of the field, completed or not. Georgia Tech it felt like they were just stacking the box, and that, I think, led to a lack of running game in the second half, and you just never got back on track until you forced it in the fourth quarter on those fourth down conversions, which were clutch, but it wasn't enough because the defense is going to get the stop. So, I mean, we're talking in circles now. It's frustrating.
Well, I mean, it's...
But you got to recalibrate your expectations. Everyone in this fan base has to. Maybe recalibrate where you're spending your money on subscriptions to Florida State media sites now.
Well, just ask yourself, what information are you getting? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're not insiders. We don't pretend to be insiders, but we tell the truth. In our eyes, what is the truth from what we see, what we believe, just like you do. I mean, we're not going to sit there and just eat up shit other people are putting out there and you can call us negative if you want. We see it as reality. We see it as reality because we've looked at the stats. We've looked at the production, and we said everything in our preview show. If you go back, if you don't believe what we're saying now, go back to our preview show on this game and see what we said. And there were people saying, oh, you guys are just negative. I'm going to unsubscribe to you guys. Go ahead. That's up to you. But everything we said, KB, kind of came true today.
Yeah.
Kind of came true, and I didn't want it to come true, but it came true.
Well, we both said we would win this game, and I said it would be close. I think you said it would be over 14 points or something like that.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked we haven't.
The only thing I said that didn't come true is I actually did buy in a little bit to the defensive line hype, and I shouldn't have bought into that. But the reason we talk reels because... But
you remember I kept saying there's no true production there. And those guys, the interior guys, Farmer and...
Gerald Jackson.
They got pushed around. They really got pushed around.
But the thing I want to say is the reason we have to talk like this preseason and in season is because I would be in shambles right now if I came into this game thinking we were a top 3 team and a championship. And if we didn't have these level set expectations, who I think we actually are, and then lost this game, like I would be. I mean, I feel sick, but I don't feel sick as I would be right now because I knew this could happen based on what the roster looks like. I knew we didn't have a top 3 roster. I knew we had some liabilities on the roster in starting positions. I knew Mike Norvell didn't make some of the right moves. And I knew this could happen. I thought we would win. I mean, I knew this could happen. And that's why setting these lofty, unrealistic expectations and having your head in the clouds, it can
and
hurt
listening
you.
to all the shit that comes out. Oh, this is practice day number 2. Now, here's what we saw. That shit means nothing.
It just hurts you mentally because then you think every game is going to be a blowout and there's not going to be negative. There's not going to be negative plays on the field. You just have to be realistic about where this team is. And that's not to say this team can't go and win out the rest of the season. That can absolutely happen. First game, things happen.
Of course.
But we have to see where things are. And you have to level set your expectations based on
what you see. Let me go back to this one point. All of the hype you get coming out of Camp Day 1, Camp Day 2, Camp Day 25, And if you go there and fans and you listen to that, that's good. It's entertaining, but it means nothing. Because when you listen to all those coaches' interviews that are done by the full-time guys, okay, the full-time social media, go back and listen to some of those interviews. They don't say shit, okay? So you're wasting your time on that. The only thing that shows up is the game, in the game, and the stats that are on here. Go to the defensive stats before we start to wind down this program. Go to the defensive stats for a minute, okay?
Yep.
Okay.
And we said it. Last thing I said on the previous show is this game will be won at the line of scrimmage, and Florida State lost both lines of scrimmage.
And Georgia Tech's coach Brent Key said the same thing at the beginning of the game. The game will be won in the trenches, and they won that game in the trenches.
They won both offensive.
Where
and
is
defensive.
pull up the defensive numbers here on the stats?
I don't know if they have it.
Oh, you don't have them there?
I can.
Okay.
What do you want to see on defense?
Well, pull them up for a minute as I talk.
What do you want to see?
I just want to see who were making tackles and who didn't get shit. You know, one of the things too is this. You're right. We could win all the rest of the games, but we gave one away today.
Yeah.
Okay, so we really, as we said on, I think it was Thursday night, we said we have control now of our destiny. Well, we gave up a piece of that control today.
Yep.
Now, we could face Georgia Tech in the championship game maybe if we win out.
Yep.
Right? But we have little room for error now because that was a conference game, and we will have to probably basically win the ACC championship to get a playoff spot.
Yeah.
You know,
but that was the
yeah,
expectations
but-
before today. So
I understand, but now the pressure is really on now. The pressure is really on for this team and for the coaching staff. So let's see. Shaheem Brown, 13. He had
13 total tackles
and 9.
solo.
Okay, so what does that say about the defense? You know what that says? He had to come up and make a lot of damn tackles that weren't being made by defensive linemen, defensive ends, and linebackers.
Yeah.
He had to make that many tackles. Most of those were probably on run plays, I'm guessing. So he had a big number tonight. He had a big number. Cam Riley, DJ Lundy, they had 14 tackles apiece. That means guys were coming through the defensive line, and they had to come up and make some tackles as well.
And look at tackles for loss. The only tackles for loss were from Shaheem Brown, DJ Lundy, Daniel Lyons, who's a backup,
Yep.
and Blake Nicholson. Backup
Look at this.
linebacker.
Patrick Payton, 1 total tackle, no sacks. What did our defensive ends do? What else did they?
Where was
Daryl Jackson? He had 2 tackles inside.
He's inside.
Where the hell? Marvin Jones had 2 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss. Is that 1 tackle for a
No,
loss?
that's a solo tackle.
Oh, a solo tackle, no sacks. Okay, so this is going to force Fuller to have to consider sending a linebacker or sending a defensive back on 3rd downs against opponents, good opponents.
Yeah, I mean,
because we're not going to Georgia Tech had a good offensive line. They had a good offensive line.
But they weren't coming into this
but
game.
They're
thinking
not
they
a
had
nationally ranked
defensive
team.
line. They had 7 tackles for loss. They have 1 sack, 7 tackles for loss. This isn't going to be an elite Georgia Tech line, defensive line. They played great today, but they elevated what they had, right? They schemed right. They elevated your play, but Florida State's defensive line just did not show up today.
And they had 2 fumbles, but we didn't get either one of those.
And
That hurt.
Once again,
That hurt.
fumbles are luck.
I would say that hurt. And what also hurt is when we had them in a bad position on a 3rd down, they converted.
And you don't close,
They
and that's why you need
converted.
closers. You got to close. So you got to close the pocket. You got to get a sack. You got to get in there. Nobody closed, and that's on the defensive line, in my opinion, because 2 of those were they were big passes. One was on the edge in the 4th quarter on that final drive. The other one was Haynes King sitting in the pocket, and he got a guy over the middle.
And don't say anything to this because I know you don't want me to even say it, but I'm going to say it. Unfortunately, Kirk Herbstreit is now probably laughing at his hotel about all of this. No, but I know you don't want to say it. But I'm saying it because it's a human thing for people to say, see, fuck, they got fucked. They got screwed.
Okay, great.
You know?
It doesn't change my life.
So, no, it doesn't change our life. But this football team has some challenges ahead. Mike Norvell is going to preach adversity over the next several days. Now, this team is supposed tomorrow is supposed to go sightseeing in Ireland.
How about we hit the practice field?
No,
Or,
I don't think he's going to do that. What would you do? That's the schedule. That's what they said. Tomorrow is a day off to do sightseeing in Ireland. I'm going to stay with my plan. I'm going to stay with the plan.
Yeah.
I'm going to burn this tape, so to speak. So to speak. But the coaches, most of the coaches should stay in there and start breaking down tape. And a couple of monitors, go out with the guys and see what's going on, and then fly home on Monday, I guess, Sunday night.
Yeah.
And then they got to get ready. They'll have 7 days to get ready for a Boston College team who comes in will be playing the first game of the season, right? Yeah. First game of the season on Labor Day, Monday.
Yeah. And you got to decide. And the last thing is you got to decide if Patrick Payton can't get it done, put someone over him.
Did those other guys play? The other transfers that came in at defensive end, did they even get in the game?
Well, who else came in? I mean, the guy from West Virginia, he didn't play. I don't think he didn't have a metric.
The other guy from Oregon, did he play?
I mean, those guys. Yeah, the other guy from Oregon played. Oregon State played. I saw him. I think he made a tackle, but I don't think they recorded it. Yeah, I think in assist.
Did Grady Kelly play?
I didn't see Grady Kelly.
He didn't. He's not even on the stat sheet. What the hell is going on?
But
I mean, how does a guy like Grady Kelly not get it? Well, he could have gotten in the game.
But if I'm the coaches, I got to go back and look at tape, and I got to look at effort. You know, you lost the game, but what you can grade guys on is, was there an effort there? Were guys, because so many times too, you saw the piles moving. Piles were moving forward towards Trent Ford. Why was that happening so much? And you got to look at effort. You got to look at extra yard. There's a lot of things you can look at.
Yeah, but who do you have to replace those guys?
I don't care.
With?
But that's the thing. Is it the time to just test out young guys? I mean, I'm not saying you're just starting young guys, but at some point you got to say, is it worth getting? Because when you play by, you live by transfers, you die by transfers, and you have young talent, you believe in them. At some point, you got to test them out early, and determine if they're ready, and then rotate them faster sooner than later. And I'm not saying to do it's time for the youth movement. You lost. It's not time for that. But if you don't think some guy's putting the full effort yet, or is slouching because he thinks he's got his position set, fuck it. Bring someone else in. Bring in the freshman that you think that's ready or has been showing in the practice and doesn't want to get reps. Put him in and see if he makes an impact. And it showed that star player that may not be. But I'm going on a tangent. I once again, the last thing I want to bring up, and I don't want to talk
and then let me give one
okay.
final.
Last thing is, you're going to look at DJ's numbers. Efficient, was conservative of the ball, 7.1 per yard. This is not going to get it done. But he was conservative. No turnovers. He did what he did. Wasn't bad. Wasn't good. He was average. We're going to need him to play a little bit more like Jordan Travis in that Jordan Travis took chances. Like it or hate it, Jordan Travis was able to make plays and he took some chances. Sometimes they didn't work out. Like I said, I don't know if it's coach, play calling, whatever. We just need GJ to be willing to look for the big throw or make the big throw and take chances going forward, right? This team has to find some explosiveness. They are not going to get it done with 8-9 minute drives because they're going to need to put points on the board quickly and often. Because based on what we saw today, the defense is
vulnerable.
It's vulnerable. Right. 24
vulnerable.
Points today is okay, but this offense needs to put more than 21 points on the board to win. End of story.
Yeah, I want to, and usually a lot of the damages are thrown onto the quarterback, and I think that'd be unfair in this case. Yeah. I don't think it was DJ's game to lose. I think there's just a lot of strokes in this engine that aren't popping, and so I don't put as much. A lot of people want to put blames on the quarterback. I don't think that's it. When the defense should have stepped up at the end of the game to take the ball back, I think there was a possibility DJ could have taken this team down with a couple minutes to go, and we could have got at least a field goal to win the damn game.
I agree.
And he wasn't given that opportunity.
Yep.
So let's not put a lot of blame on him at this point. there'll be other games coming where you might be able to put more blame on DJ because he's going to get more challenges. This is not probably what I think is going to be his most challenging game or this team's most challenging game. And it is a huge disappointment. I know we're both frustrated, but I am frustrated by the hype that goes on around a program, okay? And it's led by social media types, and they generally are the ones that have full access and the ones who are making the most money given that hype out. And that's normal in society and social media.
Well,
so
how
the
you get people
fan,
to buy. That's how you get people to buy.
the fans are going to have to make their own decisions on where they're going to spend their time. But I like I said before, go back and listen to these coaches' interviews. That's why I say on my Twitter account, Coach Novell, I listened, didn't learn anything. It's coaching 101. Any of these guys, they say the same shit. Sports interviews are the worst thing going. You learn nothing from these guys. They're good at it. I would be good at it too because that's their job. That is their job. So, given that, I think from my standpoint, very disappointed today. And the other thing that I'll add to you, KB, we can't just have the ball, as you said. We had the ball 7 times in the whole game. Yep. When you have the ball when you only have the ball 7 times, there's no room for error. There's no room for error. There's no room for error.
So that's it. Tough loss, tough game. Not a lot of positives, but it's gonna be a long season.
And please don't mistake, or if you say you guys are just negative, we love this team. We want this team to do well, but we're going to tell you the way we think it is.
We wouldn't be doing the show if we hated this team. We're
not here for your views.
We're losing money by doing the show. It's for this. We do it because we love this team. We love your interactions. We love talking to you. We love having a voice, and we love hearing your voice on this. This is why we do this. But we have to say what it is. Or it wouldn't be fun, or it wouldn't be fun to do this at all if we had the fake emotions for this.
And we hope we regroup and come back and beat the hell out of Boston College at the Doak a week from Monday night. And this team, do they have the potential and the people to rebound? Yes.
And they have the coaches
and
to
the
do
coaching.
it.
But right now, this is not what you would call a national caliber performance. And clearly not a playoff performance that we saw today in Dublin, Ireland. I hope all the fans had a great time, and I hope they all get home safely. And remember, it's a football game. Yep. It's a football game. There's greater things in life, and there's a lot of shit going on in the world, but that's where we stand. You will always get our reality here. If you like that, then you'll join us in the future. If you don't, then you go to another channel. That's how it works.
All right. Well, thank you guys again. Tough day, but we got 2 weeks to get better, and we will need to get better before Boston College. So yeah, we'll see you then. We'll have a preview show probably in 2 weeks, or we'll determine when that is in a week or two. But definitely join us for that. Subscribe, like if you haven't already.
I think it'll be next week, right? It's going to be like next Thursday or Friday or something because the game is a week from Monday night.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
I mean, it's not 2 weeks. They've got 7 days.
Yeah, you're right. So, we'll have that show next week, probably Thursday or Friday. So definitely join us for that. So subscribe so you get a notification. But we appreciate y'all's input, your comments. Once again, tough day for the Noles, but they have the staff, they have the talent to get better. It just wasn't their day, and they didn't put it together today. But it's a long season, and so the good thing is,
congratulations to Georgia Tech. They won this game. They won it square. There was no referee problems. They won the game, and that's the name of it.
And we have 11 more ways to do this, guys. So strap in. Don't take this one too hard because you have to do 11 more times. So enjoy your evening, y'all. Get something good to eat. Stay safe out there. And, we will see you guys soon. So, as always, go Noles, and we will see you all next week. Enjoy yourselves.
Bye-bye, guys. Bye.